We're here with Nate Kwofie from Sault Ste. Marie, but now in North Bay with the Nipissing Vikings. How are you today, Nate? Sorry.
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Jay?
Good, good. First things first, like say the fall of 2024, you moved from Sault Ste. Marie to North Bay to join Sault Ste. Marie native Tom Corey as an assistant coach with the Lakers. Talk a little bit of how that came about.
Yeah, so me and Thomas, we've been cool for a while and everything. We always kept in contact. He'd always watch games when I was coaching, so I'd always text him, I'd ask him things. I always like to ask different basketball minds questions and everything. So we always kept a relationship going. And I would say a little bit after NASA, he contacted me and he needed another assistant coach. They lost about two, so he needed a guy that's going to be there all the time, and he knew that coaching is what I want to do. So he knew I'd be the right guy, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the opportunity and the fact that he thought of me. So I give a lot of thanks to Thomas. He's a really great coach, and it's good to just be under somebody that wanted me. So that's another good thing.
Now, the thing is that you mentioned just before we got on camera, you've gone back to school to do social welfare, and how does that the two work together with you going to school and you being an assistant with Tom?
So I mean, I've kind of based my classes around the schedule and everything. So it's almost like I'm back to being a player as well, but a coach. It's funny that I actually have a couple classes with some of the guys, so it's pretty wild. But I was like, I'm here. The first semester, was just basically strictly basketball. I wasn't in school and everything, and I was like, you know what? I'm here every single day. I'm in the building, so you know what? Let me just start taking some classes, further my education once more. So it's been good so far, but stressful. I haven't been in school in like almost 8 years, so it's hard.
So it takes a little bit of getting back. I could never imagine going back to school. So
Yeah.
yeah. Now, big thing is making the transition coaching high school where you were with the St. Mary's Knights. The junior girls, you had three city championships, three NASA championships. On the boys' side with the seniors, you had two city championships, a NASA championships, and the OFSA quarterfinal. Talk a little bit about the transition moving from high school to the OUA basketball.
It's been a crazy transition. Everything's so different at this level. Just like particulars of things, like everything has to be super on point. There's no room for slacking, and anything you do really, it's like really on point. So the transition has been it's been different. I expected it though. Because I played basketball at the next level, so I kind of already knew what to expect. But coaching high school, it kind of like it's different. And then also going from a head coach to an assistant coach, that's another transition that I don't think a lot of people realize is different. It's almost like being an assistant. It's better. You're not the bad guy in a sense. You don't have to
Little bit
discipline.
less pressure too, right?
Exactly. Like you don't have to discipline people. You don't have to do anything, and you see that the players kind of more geared towards the assistant coaches. They can talk to them, build better relationships with them. And that's what I love too. A lot of guys that come talk to me, like we have really good relationships. So it's been good.
And again, a little bit harder dealing with like say the older players compared to high school players. Again, high school
Yeah.
players all have different things going on in their lives, but when it
Right.
comes to high school, they have a lot more going on in their lives usually than OUA basketball. Talk a little bit of how you have adapted to that.
It's been very different, especially dealing with high school. I did junior girls and senior boys. So even that's a little difference, between junior girls and senior boys. Different emotions, different egos. It's a lot easier, I would say, to coach the junior girls because they listen more. Whereas the boys' side, you get a little more ego. Like a bunch of guys. You're coaching guys that are 16 to 19. And at this level now, you got guys that are anywhere from 18. We have an 18-year-old, and then we have like a 24-year-old. So anywhere between that age. But I feel like at this level, guys are here for a purpose. They know why they're here, and if you slack off, you're gone. It's like you'll be gone just like that. And I feel like in high school, it's not as serious. You won't. Guys could miss practices to go to work and all this different stuff.
And you get
You'll
who
have
you get, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So that's one of the things that kind of like stuck out to me. The seriousness of it all here at this level. Like you can't miss things. You can't be late for things. Different things like that. Whereas high school, I'm sure a lot of coaches can vouch for that. That you all the time you won't have a full team at practice. You know, kids work different jobs. They'll show up late at times because of coming from their job, different things. So a lot of factors. Whereas here at this level, if you're late, you're not going to play. It doesn't matter if you're 30 seconds late, you're late. So you won't play. And it's
so like you say, about an hour ago, one of your former students, saying didn't commit to basketball but committed to football. Nate Carter, like you say, committed to St. Clair for their CJFL, like say St. Clair Saints.
yes.
Now, talk a little bit about what St. Clair's getting in a player like Nate Carter.
And first of all, I want to say I'm super happy for him. I don't want to say too much on the fact that I knew that he was going there. Just I got a little inside information prior, but
Same as me, but we don't say much, right?
but I'm so happy for him. That's my guy. Both him and Nick. I got to coach them. I had the pleasure of coaching them, and I have a good relationship with their parents as well. Nate is a hard worker. Super hard worker. Everybody knows what you're gonna get from him. He's gonna people say he's going to be a nuisance, whatever. But at the end of the day, he's getting in the other opponent's head. So, but the one thing you could say about him is that he is going to work his tail off. Like he is a hard worker. He wants to be the best at everything he does, and he grinds. So it was a pleasure coaching him, and I'm so happy for him knowing that he's going to be playing at the next level. In the sport that he loves. He's a great wide receiver. He was a great basketball player for me as well. And just like to be reunited with your older brother,
Exactly.
Yes. And then he's been seeing it. He's been going to the games. He's been seeing the culture that they've built over there. National champions. So he's going to a national championship program. I'm happy for him.
And that's exactly like for you and Tom. Like again, you're doing it. You're going to school also, but you're doing it as an occupation.
Yeah.
And we're using Nate as an example as moving from high school to the university or college level. He's progressing to where he wants to be, and that's what you and Tom are trying to do at Nipissing, right?
Exactly. 100%.
So,
And
go ahead.
yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do, and just help kids. Like even at the local level, it's good that we could go to games. Like we go to games. Me and Thomas will go to high school games within the city, and other assistant coaches will go. Even when I was in the Sioux, I went to high school games. I'm talking to players. I went to a practice. I went to a core practice. Shout out to Coach Chard for allowing me to be there and talk to the guys. Just let them know how it is at this level and everything. So, we want to shed light on, the North has some guys. I want to be able to show out and be like, all right, you know what? There's a university coach in the building. You don't really see that too much in the North. So it's good that I could be there to be somebody that can vouch for the North, being a coach for so long there.
And that's exactly it. We the other day we had one of the assistant coaches with Cora, and I always say, no, I like to toot my own horn, but they say when we go to the schools to stream sports, the players in the dressing room say, hey, we're going to pick up our game because we're there. So it's similar to with what you're doing is when you show up, there's a scout in the stands. They raise their game too, right?
Yes, very true. Very true.
So,
yeah.
Now, what do you bring to the coaching staff at, like you say, at Nipissing North Bay?
I say I bring a lot of energy. I'm a energetic guy. A lot of people know that from when I was coaching on the sidelines. You see me
I've never
always
seen that.
energetic.
I've never seen that.
You never see. I'm vocal. I've been. It's crazy though because I've been less vocal because I'm also like in the learning phase. I'm more receptive of things. Like I want to sit and learn more. So I've been less vocal. Like the guys on the team right now, if they were to see how I was coaching in high school compared to now, it would be like, whoa, this is like totally different because I'm more like just watching. I want to learn. That's the biggest thing. The biggest takeaway that I want is I want to learn. Coach Tom, he's great. He has a great resume as well, and he just came off from coaching. He was the lead assistant coach of the Brampton Honey Badgers, which is in the CEBL. It's a professional league. So, just gathering any type of knowledge I can from him has been great.
Now, again, the interview again is about you, but is Tom going back to the Honey Badgers?
Uh, gotta wait and see. Gotta wait and see. I'm gonna let him reveal that information.
And then
But
that's sports, right? You don't want to let the cat
exactly,
out of the bag, right?
100%.
Now, one question I have, and for people who know you, is the bow tie for Nate coming? Does that come with the Laker basketball?
Unfortunately, not. I tried to tell Coach Tom like, listen, we got to go to suits because the CEVL with his team, they wore shirt and tie, jackets, all of that. I'm like, listen, we gotta do what you did at Brampton. He's like, nope, nope, nope. Yeah, he's more relaxed, so we'll go in like we'll have like more sporty things to wear on the sideline. So I know everyone's used to the bow tie and everything, but I've retired that now.
So until you get your own head coaching job, right?
Yes, hopefully so. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Now, what's like you say, you've been there since October. What do you think's been the biggest challenge with the transition from high school to university?
I would say all the details of things, like scouting reports, film, like it's so detailed. Like I used to do scouts and film for high school, and it nowhere near how detailed it is now. And I even when I went to practice at Cora, I showed a scout, and some of the kids are like, "Wow, it's like super detailed." So everything like you got to know your scout. You got to know your opponent. If you don't know the scout and you're out on the floor, you're gonna get taken out. If you know the scout said, "Okay, this kid is an Allen," which means he's like Ray Allen. He could shoot the three really well. If you give him an open three, you're most likely going to be beside me on the bench. So it's knowing your scout. Whereas in high school, you don't really go over scouts too much or anything. You kind of know your opponent, but if you give up an open three, you're most likely not going to be on the bench. You're not going to get chewed out for that or anything.
So, in your opinion, and this, I guess, being an honest question, is you were the St. Mary's Knights. Is Northern Ontario basketball the competition level and the caliber level coming up?
I feel like there's definitely guys that will be at the next level. I feel like in the North, a lot of parents put their kids in so many sports, so that it's hard to even be super good in one. And I feel like more parents should put their kids into basketball, because there's so many good facilities in the North. Like the gyms are always open. That's the main thing. But you have guys like there's so many great players in the North right now, and even previously, even the last the last teams I've had, we've had some guys, and even right now you see young guys that are coming up, like even Marquis Strawbridge. Now he's playing down south. Core is loaded with talent this year. You have a grade 10 kid, Gavin Grisdale, really good. You have
Playing
an older,
senior.
exactly. He's playing senior, doing
Eric
his thing.
Martone with Cora also.
Martone, exactly. He's a very, very good player. He's in his fifth year. Like that team is solid. Like they have age, veteranship. They have skilled players. They have a group of guys that have played together for a while. Like that whole group, Kevin Grisdale, Nathan Hyam, Fernando, Zane, those kids, they've played together for such a long time. They played Steel City Slam together with Coach Jeff Giovanni, and they've grown together. Now look at them, they're flourishing.
And that says something, and we're just talking about Sault Ste. Marie because we're based in Sault Ste. Marie, and that's where you came from, right? But
Exactly.
you have is it Llewellyn in
Llewellyn,
Sudbury that
yes.
has a big program there for
Yes, they do.
basketball?
They
They
do.
do
They
it.
have two stars
Timmins has
there.
come
Like,
along.
yeah, they have Quinn Mizuchin and Adam Scott, two guys. They came up young. Quinn Mizuchin, we played him when he was in grade 10, NASA championship game at St. Mary's, and he was one of the best players on the floor in grade 10. So it goes to show, like, there are guys in the North that could play basketball.
And again, you have Marquise and Ian Grant, like say they moved Southern Ontario, but it's
Yes.
coming along compared to, I guess I'm comparing it to hockey and football in the North where we see players moving on.
Yeah,
But basketball, it's coming along and coming up in the next couple of years that we're going to see more players playing in the OUA from Northern Ontario, right?
100%. And that's why I'm trying to get them on that list, Get them on that list early. We're watching you. We're watching you. So continue to grow, continue to get better. I feel like some kids, they just feel that there's a cap. There's a cap. They feel, all right, I'm in Sault Ste. Marie. No one's going to look at me. There's no scouts, or I don't want to stay home. I don't want to go to Algoma or anything. And then there's no basketball program at Sioux College anymore, which is very unfortunate, I must say. With that beautiful facility, there should be basketball happening in that gym. I was so happy that last year we had the Knights Winter Classic and we used that facility, to showcase it even. Every school that came up, they're like, yeah, wow, this facility's nice. There should be basketball. It's just, let me throw that in there. But
And we'll use as another example. Again, you're on the men's side, but on the women's side at Nipissing, you have Lucy LaFrance, who's from
yes,
Cincinnati that is also playing, and then you have Sadie Grauberger and Mercedes Mazuka
yes,
out of Goma. So basketball is coming up in the north, right?
it is for sure. It is for sure.
So now,
Yes.
big thing is being a assistant coach, but you're still again assistant. You're not a head coach. But talk a little bit about what high school basketball players need to do to prepare themselves to hopefully take it to the next level.
I would say, as a high school player, you have to literally stay true to your craft. Always try to improve your game. Stay on top of academics. That's the first thing I need to point out. There's so many guys that we recruit right now, and the first thing you got to ask is, what's your GPA? What's your GPA? If you don't have a certain grade point average, your name's gone. Just like
Yeah.
that. You get X'd out. All right. If you can't get into school, there's no point in looking at you. So academics is first. That's the most important thing. And then after that, just constantly working on your game. Like stay in the gym, whether it be putting up a certain amount of shots every day or being in the gym lifting weights, because you got to get stronger. At this level, everybody's stronger, whether it be on the men's side or the women's side, everyone's stronger. Like our women's team, they do weights as well. Like our men's team, we do weights. We have practices, we have weights. Like we'll go have practice, and then after practice, it's weights. So like Tuesday mornings, we practice at 7 a.m. and then there's weights at 9 a.m. So I mean, having a consistent schedule that lines up with something that will be at the next level, that's really it. And coaches want to see how you are as a person. You know, you could be the greatest player, but if you're a person that's just a terrible teammate or anything, bad body language when you're on the floor, when you're on the bench, how you speak to your coach, so many different things. So when coaches are in attendance at games, be mindful of that.
And the question I have, and this is my own opinion, but I find over the last couple of years is for for not OUA but for men's basketball, the men come to the school to play basketball, then athletics. Where on the girls' side, it's academics and then athletics. Is that a little bit more challenging on the men's side, do you think? And do you
I,
agree?
I feel like usually it's like that, but this year I would say it's not even like that here at Nipissing. Like we had this past year, we had 8 all Canadian, like all academic, all Canadians on the men's side. So it's like
So times are
usually you don't
changing.
see that. Yeah, you don't usually see that, but our guys they take care of what they got to take care of in the classroom, and that's a blessing, not to have guys that have to drop out because of grades. You see that with other programs. Like a lot of other programs, first semester they'll have full roster. Second semester you'll notice that guys aren't there anymore. And it's either all right, this kid might have failed out of school, whatever. So, we're grateful on this side.
And I use maybe Northern Ontario, and we'll use Lakehead, Algoma University, Nipissing, the three universities in Northern Ontario. Is that a little bit more like say they're paying the men are paying attention to their academics a little more because it's smaller classes, smaller schools? You think?
Yes, that that is honestly a very good point. It's a lot easier to be more focused. There's not much to do. Coming from Sault Ste. Marie to North Bay, it's almost the same. Like there's nothing to do, so you might as well focus on your schooling. You know, get that 4.0 GPA.
Now, how involved as an assistant coach are you in the recruiting process?
I'm very involved. I think that's also one of the other reasons why I was brought on board as well because I have certain relationships I could extend out to helping get guys. So we sit down a lot. Like even yesterday, me and Tom, we sat down. We're going over recruiting things and everything, going through emails of guys because guys send emails every single day, like literally every single day. There's hundreds, thousands of kids that are looking to be recruited. And that should be another point to kids. There are thousands of kids in your same position wanting to play at the next level. So now it's like, what are you going to do to stand out more? You got to realize that you have to stand out more. Yeah. So like
And
as we go
it's
through
not
those emails, it's like,
and OUA. It's becoming. It's not just Canadians anymore.
no,
It's not just Americans. It's international now, and so that makes it even more challenging for kids in the north because you're not competing just with Canadians anymore. You're competing with players from all over the world, right?
yes, 100%. And we have 2 internationals on our team. Actually, we have one from Portugal and one from New Zealand. So there you go. And each team, you get 3 international spots. So you're competing
So
against the world.
so when again we talked about it, the advice you give, like say the kids in the Sioux and stuff like that. But how do you help? And I know you came in October, but going into next year, how are you? How will you help the new recruits come in? How do you help them transition from that level to the OUA level?
Build a relationship. That's key. Like a lot of the recruits that I have right now, I message them frequently, just starting that relationship early. So just always talk to them, let them know, all right, how you doing in class? Check on them. And then when they get to campus, it's where the work begins. Like they got to be here before training camp. Let's get in the gym, put up shots, be in the gym constantly. And that's prior to school starting. So you don't really have an excuse. You don't have schoolwork or anything, so you better be in the gym. You better be in the gym with a coach. It's putting in
And the
work.
biggest thing is, and I will use OUA majority. I'll go back for Northern Ontario. We're Friday, Saturday, Sundays for OUA basketball here in the north.
Yeah,
It's not all about the spotlights on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's about the other 5 days of the week, right?
exactly. Those days matter the most.
Yeah, the games are the least important. I always say.
100%. Because practice is where you're going to either show that, okay, I'm going to be in this lineup, or you're terrible in practice, you're not taking it serious, and then you drop out of the lineup. You got to think about it. Most coaches usually go maximum 10 deep, whereas you'll have a roster of 16 plus. So where do you stand within those 16 guys? It's practice, and whether you
Yeah.
want to crack that 10 to get into the game, It's what you do before the game, those days prior.
Now, how's it going to feel, like you say, in February when you come back to Sault Ste. Marie wearing the blue and green compared to the burgundy and black at St. Mary's?
It's gonna be completely different, you know. It's gonna be different being in Sault Ste. Marie and not being a St. Mary's Knight anymore. You know, I feel like I'll always be a St. Mary's Knight because I coached there for a number of years. But it feels a lot better though, also knowing that we're steadily going up the ladder. You know, it's a step by step process, and I'm just thankful because St. Mary's, that was a step in the process. So I'm thankful to them as well. You know, it's crazy how it even all started. Just I was in placement. I was in school at the time. I was in placement, and
You're
then
at Sioux College, weren't you? Sorry.
yes, I was
Yeah.
at Sioux College as well. Yes, so I was at Sioux College, and I had a placement at St. Basil's Elementary. It was the first year of them opening the elementary school, the combined school. So I was there for my placement, and they needed a coach for girls basketball. And at the time, I was a student. I played basketball at Sioux College as well. So they just asked me if I could do it. And I'm like, I don't know if I have the time. And then I ended up doing it. We did really well. And then I still remember Heidi Zagordo, who's a teacher at St. Mary's. She came to me like after the placement, and she saw me one day, and then she was like, "I heard there's an opening. You know, you should coach." And then she got me in contact with Dave Zagordo, and they're like, "Yeah, we loved what you did with St. Basil's and everything. If you want to come and coach junior girls here at St. Mary's." So that's how it all started, and then took off from there. You know, I always knew I wanted to coach, but I never really like put in the effort to do it. And then it just came about that way, you know, and now just to have Tom hit me up, ask if I wanted to be on board, you know, that was like one of the best feelings to have, you know, because it's been a goal of mine to be at the post-secondary level coaching, and just to know that he wanted to have me on board and seeing the value that I would bring to the program.
And that's the biggest thing is that then I come when it comes to sports. Usually, you again, there's many websites out there showing we need assistant coaches, we need coaches, but to have a post secondary OUA coach reach out to you,
Yeah,
it shows that you've been doing something right, right?
exactly. And
So
and that's how I had to look at it. I was like, wow, you know, I know we had a relationship and we talked a lot and everything, but to know that okay, he's been watching, you know, and he trusts me because that's a trust factor too. To be like, okay, I want this guy on my staff. You know, as a head coach, you can't just have anybody on your staff. You know, so that's the thing. Even at the high school level, I only had guys on my staff or girls on my staff that you know, I felt that they'll be trustworthy. They'll come all the time. You know, they'll build relationships with the players as well. There's people that you had to turn down because they're either not serious, no time commitment. So,
or don't believe in your philosophy and the way you want the program to go, right?
very true. Exactly.
And having Tom reach out to you, it shows that again that's has somebody in you that's going to go along with the program that he's trying to build at Nipissing, right?
100%.
So, last question: what is your goal, like you say, when it comes to coaching?
Ah,
And
I was
I know you're just new to Nipissing, but we're looking down in the future.
down in the future. I mean, I would say in the future, I definitely want to
Coach
be
against Tom.
Hopefully that will happen. That would be fun. That would be real fun. Coach against them, that would be really nice, you know? You know, it's like the teacher and the student, you know, but that would be really nice. I definitely want to continue coaching and pursue coaching. I've always said that. You know, I want to be at the next level. This is just a step, you know, it's a step. And hopefully one day I do get a head coaching job, you know, and I'll be able to be on the sidelines going against Tom, you know, the person that brought me in, you know, and I'm sure that'll be a happy moment for him as well, you know, just to see, all right, you know, this guy came up under me, you know, he learned a lot from me and now he's with a different program, you know, so that would be really nice. But a short-term goal as a coach, we want to make playoffs. We're making the playoff
Playoffs
push
and
right now.
then championship, right?
Yep. It's just
Exactly.
that's the short set. We're right there. We're right in the mix right now. Right.
So, and as assistant coach coming in October, that puts a little bit more pressure on you too, right?
Exactly. A lot of pressure. I came in like some of the guys already knew me because I was around. I came in April, visited. Tom had me come up in April, visit. I came in the summer one time. I came up in September. So I was there a little bit in and out. So the guys knew me. But to like fully just be there in October, it was different. And then building relationships. But it all went well because I have great relationships with the guys, like all of them. So and they're all great guys. So it
Now,
was
when
good,
it comes,
and the coaching staff as well. Love our coaching staff, head coach and the other assistants. Everything just gelled.
now when yours, like you say, your role as an assistant, what when it comes to game day or game time, what does your role look like?
My role is we all almost have the same role as assistants. We take stats and everything, keep count of fouls, timeouts. I feel like one of the main things I'll be like probably timeout. Help with a timeout call or anything like timeout. Let's do it. Because sometimes, and that's the thing, and I'm also grateful for Coach Tom on the sidelines. Like he listens to us. He really listens to his assistants. We had the conversation even yesterday. He's like, has there been a time that I haven't listened to you on a sub? Like if I tell him, I think we should get this person in, he's going to do it. And that's where trust comes into play. So I appreciate that as well. He trusts his coaching staff to be like, okay, all right, we need this guy in right now, and he'll make that move.
And again, head coach again, two eyes, right? So you can't see the whole floor at the same time with just as a coach. And you, as a head coach, you're paying attention to other things that the assistant coaches are, right?
100%.
Now, last question I always ask everybody: who would you like to thank?
First of all, I want to thank God for just putting me in this position. I wouldn't be in this position without him. Again, I want to thank Coach Thomas Corey for bringing me aboard. I want to also thank all of the students that I've coached. They played a significant role in this. All the kids that I've coached at St. Mary's College, all the championship teams that we've had and everything, they've helped me in this position. And I'm happy that I could help them as well, because I have a lot of different phone calls coming in at times for references. Like just the other day, I got an email from a prestigious school about a reference. So it's like players also believe in me and trust me to have me as a reference for a prestigious school reference that I had to confirm and write a little piece on that. So, you know, all the steps to right now have just like been great. So most
What
importantly,
and the last one again, I always say I was say the last one, but up to this moment, other than committing to coach becoming assistant coach at Nipissing, what has probably been your biggest and most memorable basketball moment?
most memorable basketball moment. I would say I have two actually. I have two big moments. I'll still remember the first one. This was a NASA junior girls. We went down in the first quarter 18-4. 18-4. I still remember I was going into the second quarter. I gave like a very like powerful speech. It was almost like, listen, we don't bring it. Let's just leave. Let's leave. We're in Sudbury. Everybody knows how it is to play in Sudbury as a Sioux team. Like I don't need to say much, but you know how it is, and you're down 18-4. So yeah, we came out of that timeout, slapped on the press, game changed. We ended up winning the game. I still remember that team. Ashley Noble, she had 38 points that game. That was very memorable, and that was my first NASA championship as well. So that was very memorable. And then I would say my last NASA championship with the senior boys in 2023. That was very memorable. It was at home. We got to win it against a Llewellyn team that was very stacked. We gave them their third loss of the season. Like everybody coming in thought we were gonna lose. So we finished the job, went to Double A OFSA, quarterfinals there as well. And even that, we played the team that won in the quarterfinals, and we were right there. We were up the whole entire game until 5 minutes left in the third. I still believe we should have won that and medaled, but just memories. That first NASA championship and last NASA championship, those are very memorable.
And that's something you'll hang on to forever, right?
100%.
And I go back to a friend of mine, Mike Hall, who has coached many teams, even to nationals when it comes to AAA U18 hockey, and he's retired from coaching now, but has always said, when kids come up to him now and say, "Hey, coach, how you doing?" and that word "coach" is before his name, he says, "I did something right. I must have done something right in the past," right?
Exactly. That's so true.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what level it's at, right?
Yeah. No matter what level, as long as they have that, they know they're gonna always call you coach. And I love to have that.
I go back the same as where it comes to the professional level. So many coaches now are former players.
Yes.
And I go back and I always say I use Sault Ste. Marie because it's a hockey city.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what league or where you play. You all end up playing in an adult beer league when you retire, anyways, right?
Yeah, that is true.
So that to me, that's going back is education is the most important thing when it comes to sports, right?
Exactly. And I say that to all the kids, it's going to stop at some point.
Yeah.
Like, whatever sport you play, it's going to stop. We're all not LeBron James and can play into our 40s. It's going to stop.
And
And it's going to stop for him as well.
Worth $250 million, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
100%.
100%.
So we all have to, like you say, sometime work. It's not a 9 to 5 anymore, but the education is the biggest part of when it comes to academics is when you have sports to be with it, right?
100%. And that's why also I decided to go back to school as well. I can't be preaching, and it's like, I want to further my education, so at least I can say to kids, all right, well, I did this in schooling as well, even as a coach, so it's not that I'm just preaching it to the guys. And I stay on top of that with academics, especially in high school. You could ask a lot of kids that I coached. I was serious on the academic side, but now, and plus, like, it was a tough summer losing my mom, and she always wanted me to go back to school. So that was another piece where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this, and I'm thankful. That's the main person I'm thankful for. My mom, may her soul rest in peace. She was always my number one fan when it came to coaching. Like, she always, any big game, she's texting me, telling me to tell the kids, good luck. She's happy for all that they've accomplished. So she's
and she never really got to come up and watch because she was from the Toronto area, right?
And I'm thankful for you, because she got to watch all the big games because of you. She'd always be tuned in to Sioux Sports. So that's a big shout out to you, Jay. That's why she would always get to watch and share. Any interview that we did, she would always share it with her friends, anybody. She was just always so happy to showcase, what I've been doing coaching wise and how happy I am doing it.
And going back to recruiting, that's a big thing with the way I go back now is technology.
Yes.
Is for coaches, you get to see kids from everywhere. Again, we're going back internationally because of social media and the streaming, right?
Yes, that is very true. That is very true. Like yesterday, I watched White Pines versus Cora. We didn't have practice in the evening, so I watched it. And also, guys need to realize there's also a college here, Canadore College. We're on the same campus. I have a good relationship with the head coach there as well. Like, I texted him to watch the Cora White Pines game. So it's like, even if you might think you're not a university level player, there's colleges as well, and even if you want to talk to me and maybe I could put in a word for you to the head coach of, so relationships matter. I'll say that as well for kids. Relationships matter. Always don't burn bridges.
Oh,
build relationships.
and at Cora last night, while we were streaming, a player came up to me, and he plays football and hockey, and he says to me, he goes, he wants to go to the next level, and he goes, if I have to go to where at a lower level for a couple of years after high school, then get to the OUA or somewhere in the United States, he's going to do it. So sometimes going to college for a year or two, then even transferring over to Nipissing could help their career, right?
100%. You see, that's another good point. We have a couple guys like that, two guys, and one of them actually is in the top 10 in scoring in the OUA. So we have two guys in the top 10 in scoring in the OUA, but one of them, he started at college. And then boom, worked his way. And then I'll tell you right now, a lot of coaches recruit from college. So university wise, they want college transfers. So don't knock college. There's always a path.
And one thing again that I don't know when it comes to, I guess you say basketball, when it comes to, is the United States international, or are they classified as domestic?
International,
even though there are, as of right now, there are neighbors. We're not getting into politics. So they're still classified as international students.
Yes, still international, yes.
So,
but it'll be interesting to see also with how things go, because I know a lot of people have seen that there's been rule changes for junior colleges. You could stay at junior college and not lose eligibility going into NCAA. There's talks that it might be like that as well for college here in Canada and university. Like, guys might be able to play here, not lose years of eligibility, then go off to NCAA. So there's a lot of things, There's
and
no
then we can do another whole show on that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But they're realizing it's, and I have always told my kids, they're adults, they're 26 and 30, but I have always told my kids, if you ever could have got education, athletics together, it's just a bonus.
Exactly. 100%.
Right?
100%.
Well, Nate, I can't thank you enough for sitting down, taking the time. And when you come up in February, maybe we'll take a 5 or 10 minute. We'll do another interview and see how it felt playing at the George Leach.
At the GLC, yeah.
At the GLC, sure. At your second home in Sault Ste. Marie.
Yep. Hey, big shout out to Chris Carr. Chris Carr on the camera.
I'm not overly happy with Chris right now, jokingly. Yeah, he went to Calgary and he brought back a keychain for Kwofie and nothing else for anybody else.
Nothing for anyone else. Oh, man.
I keep on bugging Chris about it. So I go back. Chris was on your staff at the St. Mary's, wasn't he?
Yes, 100%.
Very reliable.
Very reliable.
Got a really nice special trip with the Sioux today and with what they did for him.
Yeah.
And for him doing what he does with me, probably one of the most reliable guys out there.
100%. You can always rely on Chris Carr. And that Sioux Today stuff just warmed my heart. I'm not even gonna lie, it made me tear up a little because
it made me tear up when I saw him get a tear in his eye. It teared me up.
Yeah, exactly. Because just knowing all the work.
And you probably know it probably cost you and me more Tim Hortons than anything to have him on your staff, right?
Yeah. Chris Carr's great. I love him, man.
Yeah. Superstar. He's the best, and he always will be, right?
He will be for sure.
Well, Nate, thank you, and we'll sit down again in February when you come back to Sault Ste. Marie to face Algoma.
All right, Jay, take it easy. Thank you.
Thank you.